Alright, hello internet. I'm Jay, and this is my sister Indy.
Hey.
And we've made this video for you all because Star Wars Celebration is just a few days away, and so all the hype for The Last Jedi and any other released Star Wars content is getting really big.
Yeah. And that comes with all the speculation about Rey and who the hell her parents are.
True. And so, considering we're basically entering like the home stretch for speculation, we figured we'd make this video because we have our own pretty cool theory about who Rey's parents are, and well,
We haven't seen anything anywhere else on the internet, so we thought we'd put it out there, and if we end up being right, well then, haha, internet, take that. We figured it out first. Boom. Yeah.
yeah, so basically before we get started, obvious spoilers.
Yeah.
So there have been a lot of theories circling around about Rey on the internet since The Force Awakens came out, and like about whose kid she is, whose like lineage is she from.
And from the obvious answers of Rey being a Skywalker, probably Luke's kid, to more complicated theories surrounding Rey Kenobi and Rey Palpatine, which is kind of stupid, but like let's continue.
Right. Anyway, our theory stems from like the basic fact that Disney's gonna have to play to the middle here, and while some of us are total hardcore Star Wars fans who can just spend hours and hours conspiring on the internet and in fan theories and all that fun stuff.
Cough, you.
Yeah, me. Guilty. There are gonna be just as many people who like have no idea what's going on. Haven't seen any of the other Star Wars movies, just going because they think it's going to be cool. Haven't seen any of the other expanded universe content, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, people like that are still going to go and see the movie.
Yeah. So that makes us think that Rey, whether or not you want this to happen, is most likely a Skywalker. It's just the easiest explanation and the audience to follow and helps connect the new generation characters with the old.
Right, and both Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger, who are the heads of Lucasfilm and Disney, have said that these Star Wars movies are going to be a continuation of the Star Wars saga. And even though like J.J. Abrams and Daisy Ridley have made like kind of conflicting comments about like who Rey's parents are and whether they're in the movie or whether they're not, like first of all, J.J. Abrams has like the worst record. Like he lies all the time about his movies. Like Star Trek fans out there, like I know you know that's true. And also like they're both under like the extreme secrecy of the Star Wars contract. Like you can't say anything. It's supposed to be a secret. So of course they're not going to tell you the obvious answers.
Back to the point, our theory helps explain how Rey could be a Skywalker while solving some of the supposed problems with other Skywalker theories.
And it also fits like perfectly with the classic Star Wars plot twist that everyone keeps trying to guess. So yeah, let's dive right in. Our theory is that Rey is the daughter of Han and Leia.
And she's one of 3 solo children. Mind blown.
Yeah. So before you click off this video, because I know a bunch of you are going to think we're insane, just hear us out, okay? So our theory goes basically like this. So Rey and this other middle solo child were lost with the Millennium Falcon after Han, like worrying for his children's safety, hid them under the floorboards.
Throwback to New Hope. And Han somehow lost the ship and his 2 youngest kids with it.
So the solo kids are in the Millennium Falcon and it's being traded across the galaxy, and I guess them with it, yeah. And then the ship eventually ends up on Jakku with Unkar Plutt, and so did Rey. Like Rey and the ship ended up together. But the middle solo sibling did not, and was taken away from Rey, and that's why you see her screaming like "Come back, come back!" In the Force vision.
Han and Leia searched for their kids and the ship, but they were never found, so they assumed they were dead.
Now, we do actually have quite a bit of evidence for this theory because Indy came up with it, so props to Indy.
Yeah.
But then I did most of the research.
She did a lot of research.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did a lot of research, and this theory would actually explain a lot of, like, you know, sort of the gray area that we have right now with what happened to Rey and Ben and everybody in the past, and also it refutes a lot of the most common problems with why Rey couldn't have been Han and Leia's kid that we see in the movie, like how they don't seem to recognize her or mention any other kids, how Maz is like, your family's not coming back for you, they're in the future, like that kind of thing, and Rey's accent.
As we said earlier, if Rey and the 3rd solo sibling were lost so long ago, they'd be presumed dead, so that would explain why they didn't recognize her.
Exactly. So even if Han might have thought, like, could this be so-and-so, because we don't think Rey's her real name. If there's a whole theory on that, go and watch a video. But yeah, if he had thought, like, could this be so-and-so, which he kind of seems to. There are a couple of moments in the movie where he, like, looks at her kind of funny, like, maybe I know you. He would have, like, dismissed these thoughts because it's like, well, I would have found 2 kids, and also Rey would have been the youngest, so, like, the hardest to recognize. Like, she would have been the most changed.
It would also help explain the age gap between Kylo and Rey, because, like, about 10 years, it's not really a normal family. If there was a third sibling in between it, because as the middle child, because, like,
just makes it
makes
sense.
more sense.
Yeah. And it would also help explain Rey's Force vision, where she remembers being left on Jakku and she's screaming, like, come back, because in the novelization, which is canon, she remembers a voice answering her, and it says,
I'll come back, sweetheart. I promise.
Exactly right. Most people jumped on this line and were like, oh my god, like, sweetheart, because Han Solo is, like, the only character in the Star Wars universe to really use this line. Like, literally, it's a really, like, common phrase for us, but in Star Wars, like, nobody else uses it but him. So they were like, oh my god, it must be Han Solo, but, like, that doesn't really make sense. But it could.
But it could be a Solo kid saying it to a younger sibling, trying to calm or console them, like, if they're being torn apart.
And this circles back to Maz's quote when she's giving Rey the lightsaber, like, you know, your family's not coming back, like, you have to look to the future to find them, because, I mean, yeah, the sibling who's left her there, like, we don't really know what's happened to them, and honestly, they could be dead. They could definitely be dead. And that could have been the reason why Han and Leia stopped looking for them, because, you know, Leia felt that other sibling's death through the Force and been like, you know, Han, like, they're gone. Like, we just kind of have to drop it.
True. This also explains why Rey is so sure her family left her on Jakku, because technically one of them would have, according to the theory, and it explains why she never mentions her parents, just her family.
And I just have to say this about Rey, just because she has an accent does not immediately mean that she can't be a Skywalker. Accents are not genetic, guys! And if you hadn't noticed, almost everyone on Jakku speaks with, like, a relatively British accent, and so Rey's been there for about a decade, and that's plenty long enough to pick up an accent that wasn't the one you originally had. Just had to put that out there.
Anyways, this theory could make all the pieces fall into place and be a really cool plot twist moment.
Exactly, and we all know how much Star Wars loves their plot twists with, like, Luke, I am your father, or Leia's your sister, and, like, light versus dark kind of things. That's just something they really like to do, and it's poetry. It's
like the middle kid shows up just like, I am the Bendu.
Exactly, you could have light, dark, and gray all together. How fun. But yeah, no, it seems kind of something like they would do for, you know, to keep the Skywalker lineage going, and also
it also cherry picks from the old expanded universe that they originally, where Han and Leia had 3 kids too.
Yeah, and there's sort of a Jaina and Jason dynamic between Rey and Kylo. Anyway, like I said, you can look that up on your own. And no, but we did actually do some other outside research besides the movie. Like, I read the book we bought, and I read the book Bloodline to see if our theory held any water. And for those of you who don't know, Bloodline takes place about 7 years before The Force Awakens. It's canon, and it's told, like, completely from Leia's perspective. And so something that was really cool was
nothing in the book proves us wrong.
Yeah, haha, internet. No, I went through this book and I combed through it, and all the places that I was, like, expecting, like, our theory to be contradicted, be like Leia being like, oh yeah, Ben was my only, like, kid, blah blah blah. Like, they're really vague. They don't really go into anything. Like, whenever Leia's talking to Han or Ben or really anybody about her past, like, the dialogue's kind of left out, especially when she's talking to Han and Ben, and it's like the author's like, oh yes, they talked about their past. It was really painful and, like, hard to bring up. But, like, she never actually writes their dialogue. So I think that's kind of fishy that they left us out. Like, it could help us, like, later on. Like, it's purposely being left out.
Another really important thing we noticed from both the book and the movies is that they never go really into specific details about how Han lost the Millennium Falcon.
Which, like, is really sketchy because he loves that ship. Like, if you've seen the original trilogy, like, the original, like, episodes 4 through 6 Star Wars, like, Han loves that ship. He loves that ship.
Mm-hmm. And the fact is that it's the missing detail that could break our theory.
Like, make or break it, yeah. Because, like, Rey and the Falcon, like, just so happened to end up on Jakku together, like, all those years, you know? And, well, some people are like, oh, it's lazy storytelling or it's lazy writing, and it had to be that way to make the story flow. Like, we think that it's more of like an overlooked detail that like later people are gonna like look back and be like, oh my god, it was so obvious, like they were both on Jakku kind of thing. And there are lots of other there are like lots more of these little hints that they drop throughout the movie, like
how Kylo seems to recognize or connect with Rey, maybe his sister,
probably his sister.
Not romantic interest. Boo Reylo, you guys are disgusting. No, ew.
Yeah, sorry Reylo fans, we don't like that. We do not
Ew.
ship it. We don't.
Ew.
Yeah. And then also there's like that weirdly long, like consoling kind of like hug between Rey and Leia, where like they also seem to share a connection like at the end of the movie. And so that sort of, you know, adds to our theory, like the familial connection. And also I think it's important to note that you don't actually hear any dialogue between Rey and Leia in the movie, except for like "May the Force be with you," like right at the end. So there could have been dialogue scenes that were cut that might have like supported our theory more.
Yeah. So that was our theory.
Yeah. And the most convincing
detail,
Indy's theory, and the most convincing details that I found without boring you guys, because I had pages and pages of notes, and this video is already 11 minutes long.
She did the research. I came up with the theory and hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, share it with your friends at Star Wars Celebration if you guys were lucky enough to go. We didn't get to go.
Dumb
so
parents.
Sad. Yeah, no, so share it with your friends. Let us know in the comments, like, could this work? Would you like to see it on screen? Do you think it'd be cool to see on screen? Or
are we just crazy? Probably both.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.